Well, hello, I'm Randy Phillips. Thank you for joining us on Backstage with Randy Phillips, where we go backstage with people. You know, there's this public persona, then we go backstage, and then there's other things that tend to help people. Today, my guest is Justin Earley. Hello, Justin.
Hi, Randy. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, man, you're an amazing man. I've just discovered you.
You're too kind.
I'm hoping everybody that
Or maybe just wrong. I guess we'll find out.
I'm praying everybody that follows me will start following you because you're an amazing guy. I got introduced to you through my wife. We were winding down to go to sleep, and I was just reading or whatever, and she's over there, Denise, my wife. She's over there doing these breathing exercises, like she go, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want." I said, "What are you doing?" See, so I've started following this guy on social media named Justin, and this is what he told me to do to help me go to sleep. What in the world, Justin? What have you done to my wife?
Wow, I am totally guilty here. You can blame me, but I am so happy. Would you tell her that I said good job?
I went, what is that she's doing? Is that a calming mechanism? Or what is it?
She's doing, it sounds to me like what I wrote about in chapter 1 of The Body Teaches the Soul,
Yeah.
box breathing combined with a breath prayer, which technically what it is it's a way of breathing where you take a really long inhale and then hold for a number of seconds. And people trace their box. You can see I'm doing it with my hand, Randy, like inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds. All kinds of wonderful physical and mental health benefits to breathing carefully. So this
Yeah.
is like a tried and true way of breathing, but I really like to pair them with what is been called breath prayers. This is an ancient practice of Christians to pray the scriptures along with your breath.
I love
And
that.
Randy, I just got to confess, I thought this was like woo-woo Eastern psychobabble
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
until I read the science and sort of discovered the theology behind it. And, breath is the one vital life function that you can sort of take out of your subconscious and bring into your upper brain and control it, which is biologically designed as a way to allow us to control our emotions. So as someone who struggled with anxiety in the past, this is a lever I never knew that I had. And it's also a great way to bring your physical and spiritual sort of
Yeah.
sides in touch with each other. So I thought it was really, like I said, psychobabble until I realized, oh no, God made me that way. I
Yeah,
can
he
I can
did.
embrace that. He made me that way.
Yeah. And that, that formation of the worlds, Hebrew word calls it Ruach. It's the breath of God that goes out.
Yes.
He knows how to breathe.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Now,
he,
one of the things I learned in researching this book was Genesis 2:7 describes the creation of Adam as God taking the dust of the ground. That's the Hebrew word afar, like,
Yeah.
organic matter, and then breathing this spirit of
Yeah.
life into it, which is such an enormous theme in the Bible, that where God breathes, life happens.
Oh,
And
no.
that's what Genesis says creates a living soul. So I used to think of a soul as like the invisible, like inner part of us. And now I think of a soul as this, what it is to be a human. Like you are a soul. You're a combination of the
Yeah.
physical and the spiritual, and God made you like that.
Love it. Well, thank you for helping my wife, and you're helping me too.
Happy to do it.
If I have a calmer wife, I'm a calmer man.
Everybody should be, husbands everywhere should be calling me and thanking
Oh,
me.
they should be thanking you.
or and I have this happen, getting frustrated with me because they're like, my wife wants me to do all these
know.
habits now, and that she keeps telling me this and that, and I'm like, well, good, listen to her. She's always right anyway.
Yeah. You're an amazing guy. You got, first of all, you're married. How long you been married? How many years?
Going on 19 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. Way to go, Justin. You got
Thank
4
you.
boys?
Yes, sir. 4
Oh,
boys.
my Lord. You got a crown in heaven.
That is the right response. A double
so
crown
did-
for my wife.
And a double crown for her. Because she's got 5 boys.
This is what I always tell people, and they're like, "Wait, how many?" It's like, "Don't you get it? Like, I'm the 5th."
You have your own law practice.
Yes, sir.
You're a part owner of a local gym.
Guilty.
You're a best-selling author.
Well, you put that very kindly. Thank you.
What do you do in your spare time?
That was it. Yeah,
That's
that
it.
was it. Yeah. I mean, it's not entirely out of the truth. Oh, exercise and writing are two things that bring me great joy physically and spiritually. So a lot of my free time is spent there, though both of them have become kind of side vocations. But, when you put it all like that, Randy, I think it can give people the wrong impression, like I'm, all of these things. To me, it honestly does feel like one life that is integrated. And I feel like living intentionally is something that I write about a lot. And the Lord has like taught me a lot about this in the past 10 years. When you approach your habits and your time intentionally, there's a lot of things that he can do through your life. And so I'm not particularly any more busy or full than anybody else's life, but I do try to pick them on purpose and say,
Yeah.
the Lord has given me this one life. I want to give it all back to him.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
I want to arrive empty.
Yeah.
When
Good way
he
to put
welcomed
it.
me, like, yep, you poured it all out. Okay,
Yes.
so this is the book. The Body Teaches the Soul. I love this book, Justin.
Thank you.
Way to go. What does it mean? How would you summarize just the title, The Body Teaches the Soul?
Well, that's a great place to start. The Body Teaches the Soul comes out of my anxiety crash that I had in my young 30s. So I'm now just 40. Like I said, I'm a practicing lawyer. But in my young 30s, I had a really significant anxiety crash right when I started practicing law. And it really confused me, Randy, because in my head, I was just like I am now. I think I have a good worldview, like theologically well educated. There was no place in my life where I thought I had, quote unquote, put my identity in work. But I found myself in constant panic attacks, insomnia, really bad mental health season. And I couldn't figure out why, if I was thinking true things about myself and God and the world, why that wasn't working its way down into my body. Like, why was my body rebelling? And I would say I learned two things from that experience. Now, it's been very slow. It's been a very slow process. So distilling it doesn't mean I learned them quickly or right away. But the two things I think the Lord has taught me through that experience, Randy, is one, that if your head goes one way, but your habits go the other way, your heart tends to follow the habits.
Oh.
And in my life then, I did have a good worldview, but the way that I was living, using my phone constantly, always online, never sleeping enough, never eating, not exercising, my schedule revolved around work. Those habits of rush and busyness and anxiety actually had the effect of converting what I would, and I use that word on purpose, sort of converting my heart and emotions to a certain disposition. And I never knew that habits were that powerful. So a lot of the last 10 years for me has been the Lord showing me how important those ordinary habits of your day are to the extraordinary parts of your spirituality and mental health and all that. And the second truth that I learned, which is really part of that, but a distinct part, is that God really did make you a spiritual, physical being. So you don't just work top down. You don't just, though you do, it's really important what you think. And if you think the wrong things, your body actually can get into a lot of bad places. If you think that nobody loves you in the world, it's unsurprising that your body's showing signs of depression, for example. But you don't just work top down. You also work bottom up. So you can think the right things, but be living in a very dishonoring way to the body that God gave you. And that will affect how you believe and how you think. So you're just more holistic than I ever thought. And so this book is about all the ways that the body can teach the soul. In other words, there's a bottom-up direction of spiritual engagement. Not because, again, you're not just that, but it's one of the ways that God can work in you to cultivate anxiety, or take anxiety and cultivate joy and peace.
That's so good. The early Christians, and even for me, a couple of generations back, the physical was not, that don't worry about that. It's just spiritual.
Yes, right.
Put your hopes in things eternal. The old song says.
Yes.
Don't disregard the body is going back to the dust. It's just here
Mm-hmm.
for a little while. Put your, and that's true. But
But
as we have disregarded the physical, we paid the price, haven't we?
yeah, I think so. Because you can take a partial truth too far, and it distorts the whole biblical truth. And God made us such that we are a divine combination of the spiritual and the physical, as in He made bodies on purpose, and He redeemed us by the body of His Son. And the
Yeah.
Bible promises that He's going to resurrect us to new bodies. We don't
Yeah.
know exactly what this is going to be like, but we do know that it involves the body, just as Jesus' resurrected body was an actual body. And the disciples
Yeah.
were like, wait, hold on, so
Yeah.
something's different here. But the main thrust of the Bible is that bodies are not an accident. And so we get into a theological error. It's called Gnosticism, if you want to be fancy about it. When we think, oh, really, the good life is all in the spiritual realm. And you understand why some parts of Christianity have emphasized this, because they've been living in cultural moments that emphasize only the physical and like everything's here and you are nothing but atoms. And of course that's not true either. But you don't want to idolize the body, but neither
Right.
do you want to swing to the other side and ignore it.
Yes.
I think real Christianity is where you image God through the body and you ask how in this actual body in this world that we have, that God made and loves, He called it capital G good.
Yeah.
How do we glorify Him through these things? We're not going to go around it. We're going to go through it. And that's what the book is all about.
That's great. I love it. The body teaches the soul. Get this. Everybody listening, watching around, get this book. The body teaches the soul. All right. You go through, there are 10, let's see, am I saying that right? 10,
You got it exactly right. 10
Okay.
chapters there. Yep.
breathing, garden your mind. I love the garden your mind. I just
Oh,
love
thank you.
the concept of gardening. That was so cool. Let me come back to that.
Sure.
Thinking, eating and drinking, fast and feast. Love that. Sleeping. Man, I need to sleep.
We all do.
Lamenting. That I love that one too. We don't know how to lament. All right, let me keep going.
Yes.
Exercise. Ugh. Sex. Love that. Technology. Oh, mercy. Worship.
Tough one.
Death and resurrection. These are all so good. So good. Is there one currently? I'm a singer, and when you make an album, you got say 10 songs on.
Yeah.
One will be a favorite of yours, and then you'll go through a season of life, and another one emerges as a favorite of yours. They're all good, but seasonally one will emerge. Of these 10, which one is resonating with you right now?
Oh, that's tough. We talked about one of them, and that was breathing. That has become really important to me. And I think probably eating and exercise would be another two sort of greatest hits for me right now. I find that it has brought me such joy to realize that eating is more spiritual than I realized, and it's really helped me. It's helped me both do better in the kind of ways I want to eat, but also worry less about some of the guilt and shame that's around eating. So that's been a really good one for me.
You talk about feasting and fasting, right?
Yes.
What is that?
Well, I was astounded to find in Genesis 2:9, there's this little theology of food kind of baked into the beginning of creation. God makes the garden, and then He says to Adam that the trees are good to look at and also good for food. This idea that creation is given to us both to for us to depend on, but also to delight in. Like, it's good for food, we need the nourishment, but we're also meant to delight in food. And our modern culture, and really sin and brokenness after the fall, really distorts food into, we don't depend on it so much as we indulge in it. We sort of greedily take what's ours, or, in America, indulging is as easy as falling off a log. I mean, you're going to eat whatever's in front of you. So indulgence then leads to shame because we feel like we've overdone it, or we actually feel physically bad. And so I look at those things, Randy, and I think, oh, God made us for dependence and delight, but we've turned it to indulgence and shame. no wonder the Bible offers fasting and feasting as these traditions of the people of God, because they actually address those two things. That is, that fasting helps us recultivate dependence. We
Yeah.
actually are strange in that, we throughout history have been a people who say, I'm actually not going to eat for a meal, sometimes even a day or a season. It's honestly an odd thing to do, but it's so very spiritual to recover your dependence and
Yeah.
realize how much you need God and you need food. And then on the other hand, feasting is such a wonderful theme through the body. A lot of American Christians don't want to admit it because we get a little uncomfortable with the idea of truly enjoying creation as much as the Bible suggests that we ought. But we're like this with sex too, right? We honestly just get a little embarrassed that God
Yeah.
apparently intended us to enjoy, like really enjoy certain parts of creation. And feasting is one of those things. I mean, salvation is described to us as a feast with God and the people of God. Jesus was often accused of feasting too much. The Israelites had tons of feast days. And so my advice in this is chapter 3 of the book, Randy, is to practice regular fasting and regular feasting as ways to recover dependence and cultivate delight.
I love that. That's so well said, Justin. Do you have a rhythm of fasting that you do? Is it intermittent, or what is your flow?
This has changed over a lot of periods of my life, but my favorite one, I think, is the rhythm I'm in right now, which is I generally try to fast one meal a week and one day a month. And so typically, like right now, it will usually be a Thursday lunchtime. I'll fast from a meal. And ideally, that means I leave my office and take a prayer walk while I fast, because
That's good.
one of my great friends, Drew, says, fasting without prayer is just a bad diet. I mean, the whole point is that like you refrain from food and eat, the word of God. You're praying, and then usually the last Thursday of every month, I'll just maybe not eat for that whole day. Sometimes I'll do sundown to sundown.
Yeah.
But it's been so good for me, Randy. The amount of presence I feel like. Here's a way to put it: God is far more generous than I am disciplined. As in, like, I'm not trying to show anything off, like, oh, look at me, I fast. I'm hedonistically running to the way that I find God manifesting his presence to me when I take this step of saying, I'm not going to eat. Let me wait for you. He shows up every time.
I know. Everyone in Old Testament and New Testament fasted. God called the entire nation to fast. Even Fido the dog had to fast.
Can you imagine that?
That fat dog I have needs to fast. He's fat.
There you go.
Otis, he needs to fast. Well, Wednesday's my day to fast. I fast, sun up to sundown.
Oh, is that right?
Drink a lot of water, couple it with prayer, of course. But Wednesday's been my rhythm since I was in middle school.
How about that?
Felt the Lord put that on my heart. It's just something I've done. It's a rhythm for me. It's so beautiful. I love, it's like two wings on a beautiful bird. One is prayer, one is fasting. But when you get both of those going, man,
wow.
You can soar.
That's a wonderful metaphor. That is so good.
I love your fast and feast. So good. Have you ever watched your child struggle with making the right choice? I know I have. And that's one of the reasons I wrote Guppy and the Silvery Hook. It started as a story I used to tell my daughters at bedtime, and now I share it with my grandkids. It's about Guppy, a curious little fish who has to learn the importance of listening, trusting, and making wise choices when temptation comes swimming his way. The story is fun, beautifully illustrated, and your kids will love it. But even more, it opens the door for important conversations between you and your children. Conversations about wisdom, trust, and learning from mistakes. I'd love for you to experience Guppy and the Silvery Hook with your family. You can grab your copy today on Amazon. Start a storytime tradition your kids will remember, and one that points them toward making wise choices for life. technology. You got 4 boys.
Yes.
What are their ages?
Right now they are 6, 8, 11, and 13.
6, 8, 11, and 13.
Yeah.
You're in the thick of it.
We were in the thick of it when they were like 2, 4, 6, and 8. That was wild. And my wife and I are still recovering. But right now, honestly, Randy, it is wild, and there's a lot of, holes in the walls and, things that get broken. But right now, I got to admit, we are in a really, really fun stage. They are
great.
the oldest isn't so adolescent that he doesn't want to hang out with us, and the youngest isn't so young that he has to, nap in diapers, that we're all kind of in a hangout stage, which has just been
good.
Joyful. Yeah.
All right. How have you've got a whole chapter here dedicated to technology or
Yeah.
what is the chapter in this book that speaks to that? And then how have you made it applicable for your boys and even yourself?
Yeah, well, so I've always been really cautious of technology because it was my anxiety crisis that I referenced earlier that I realized, the way I used my phone in my late 20s, early 30s had a lot to do with my mental health collapse. So I started 10 years ago really being cautious of how I used technology, and I've written quite a lot about that. But I would say writing about embodiment and doing all the research I did on our bodies really actually elevated this perspective and said, oh my gosh, it's even more important than I thought. Because, we are biologically and theologically wired for presence. As in, if you lack deep relationship in life, you will not only spiritually, but you will actually physically fall apart. You were meant to be in the room with other bodies, talking, making eye contact, using gestures and touching and all the intangibles that you get from watching somebody's face.
Yeah.
If you just go to a basement and chat with strangers, you get all the deformities that you kind of would expect. And I think a lot of our deepest cultural crises are coming because we are so deformed by technology instead of redemptively formed by embodied relationship.
Yeah,
and so
good.
my call in that chapter is stay embodied. As in, technology is wonderful for so many things, but it should not displace the consistent daily art and habit of being embodied and in relationships. So just a couple ways we do this in our house, for example.
Okay.
There are little, what I call micro habits or keystone habits that actually have major effects. One of them I call an hour with your phone off. It's exactly like what it sounds like. Every day when I get home, I either actually turn my phone off by holding the buttons on the side for a super long time till the phone says, are you dying? Do you actually want to turn me off? Or I put it in this phone box that we have. It's called the RO box, and it just goes to sleep in there. I don't see it. But so right when I get home, I'm thinking, I'm home. I'm not at work. I'm home. I'm not hanging out and texting my friends right now. I'm going to be really present with my kids.
Right.
We also have a habit I write about in the chapter on technology called no zones in the house, where
that's good.
the dinner table is a no zone. You're not going to see technology at the dinner table because we value embodied conversation.
Yes.
Children's bedrooms are no zones. Even when my kids get a smartphone, and they won't until they're in 10th grade, they can't take screens into their bedrooms because we want bedrooms to be a sacred place. When you're older, beds are great for sleeping and sex. I think primarily they're healthy for that. When you bring the phone into the bed, I'm not saying it's a law, like it's necessarily wrong, but you get into some weird territories, and we don't need to be alone with technology. I talk about being public on it, like having a good internet filter so you know what people in your house are doing, and also just sort of having the common sense to use your phone around other people, not in the bedrooms and the bathrooms where you're tempted to do things that really you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So there's embodied habits like that, and I could list a ton for you, Randy, but those are two of the ones that have been really powerful for us to keep our home a place of an embodiment and keep me in the place of presence and relationship.
Oh, that's good. Did I understand you to say that your kids won't have a phone till they're in 10th grade?
Yeah. So I mentioned this
Yeah.
in the chapter, but kind of it's sort of buried in a footnote. My wife and I have started something called the Hang 10 movement, where we write about 10 principles for technologies and in family. And my argument is Hang 10. So the key practice in these 10 practices. And by the way, anybody that's curious about this, you can go to thehang10movement.com and look. This is a free resource for anybody. We suggest that it is most healthy for your children and for you to wait until 10th grade to give them any sort of smartphone and social media. That it might happen then or after, but it should not happen before. And there's a lot of important mental health data that we're basing that on. It's not our idea, it's experts' idea. But we think that as a communal pattern is really going to be important for churches and Christian schools and even just neighborhoods to say, hey, let's do this together. Okay. Because, if one of us gets our kids an iPhone when they're in 6th grade, then everybody wants one and they're all on that device, and it's a communal action problem. But when you have a group of parents saying, we're going to wait until 10th grade to introduce smart technology like a smartphone. Yeah. You can do dumb phones or Nokia brick texting devices. Those are fine.
Do they have that? Do you give them
yes.
that? You give them a dumb phone?
Yes, and yes, they still exist. My son has a not a smartphone. It's kind of in between. Like it can track GPS location. It can text us. It can call us. But what it doesn't have, this is the really important part, Randy, is portals to the adult world called the internet. Right. Where parents right now with the technology we have, they have no power to stop what's coming through an internet device. I mean, you can get some of the darkest places of human existence, and it's not just accessible to you, they will come for your children. So it's sort of like punching a bunch of holes in your roof and then wondering why you're getting rained on. To give your child a smart device when they are young is punching a bunch of portals to the adult world and then wondering why your children are being harmed, like deformed mentally, and get into very dangerous, frankly, mental places. That not the amount of sexual abuse, pornography, bullying, adult content that is just really killing kids' mental health, particularly young girls, is so preventable. It's so preventable. And so I think we do our kids a really important service when we say your childhood is going to be an embodied childhood. Turns out that's the best thing for their minds too. Oh man,
that's so good, Justin. I've got 2 grandchildren. Man, wait till you get grandkids. You talk about fun.
I bet. I'm kind of jealous.
I've got 2, and they were given a tablet as soon as they got here. It's a nice way to keep them quiet at a restaurant or in church, or just like, here, look at this. It's just it's just such an easy thing.
Yeah.
So it's parental that we have given our children. It's not really their fault, is it? I
mean, and that's why I think I don't want to cause anybody tremendous guilt or shame here. A lot of us are just learning how dangerous unlimited technology for children can be. And so, if you're suddenly realizing, oh my gosh, I'm kind of doing it wrong, like that's why the good news of Jesus is such good news. There is grace. We're learning all the time that, I guess I shouldn't be doing that. I guess and that, Christians should be well equipped to deal with that, of saying, now I know better, so I can do better, and I have the grace to move forward. So just, if you go to thehang10movement.com, you'll get a lot of good ideas. Okay. And from a grace-based perspective, not like hey, you're doing it all wrong.
No, that's great. We're pioneer parents, aren't we, in this raising kids in the world of technology?
That's exactly right.
Generation before us didn't have this. We, how are we
learning?
How are we doing? Not too good?
Well, I'd say 2 sides of that. One, the stats aren't great with how children are doing, which would suggest that we're not doing good. But I will say, Randy, at least anecdotally speaking, I see parents really, really changing on this stuff. I really do. I've been writing about this stuff for now almost 7 years. And I felt awkward and kind of like out in left field at first. And now I feel like everybody is saying, this is really important. And I don't really meet anybody who says, Chicken Little, you're too worried about this. I do meet a lot of people saying, well, tell me what to do. I'm not sure how, but I see people trying to figure this out, and I have a ton of hope for the church in this.
Yeah.
I have a ton of hope. I do worry about what I honestly, the poor and the vulnerable in America. It's often the burdens of American problems often fall most heavily on the poor and the vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think the church is going to figure this out. I think, for lack of a better word, rich people are going to figure this out. They'll pay for better educations. But for the average kid that doesn't have a mom and dad walking with Jesus and doesn't have a lot of great resources, they're going to be thrust into a life of technology that's very dangerous. And I do lament that, and I hope we can do better for them.
Yeah, thank you. You brought up the word lament. That's one of your chapters.
Yes, yeah.
Here in Texas, you get down to Texas very much, Justin. You're up in where? Where are you?
I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and I have
so beautiful.
the honor of coming to Texas quite often now.
You do?
Actually. Also the honor of being married to a wife that was born in Texas. She was born in Houston. Yeah.
All right. Well, here in Texas, 2025, I don't know when people are watching this, but in the summer of this year, 2025, we had a horrible, catastrophic flooding in the hill country down here.
Yes.
Oh, it was awful. And 27, just out of one dorm, 27 little campers, little girls
Yes.
lost their lives. So for us, that Sunday coming back after July 4th, it was a funeral. And I figured out pretty quickly, we don't know how to lament.
Yeah.
We don't know how to lament. You've got a whole chapter
Yes.
dealing with lamenting. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I don't think you can write about embodiment without writing about suffering and pain and brokenness and hence lament, because it's one thing to talk about all the ways that God made our bodies good and that we can garden them towards, mental health and shalom and peace and flourishing. But there's this other great fact of existence, which is the world is broken and sinful and fallen.
Yeah.
And you will turn up places in life everywhere. Anybody who has their eyes open already sees them, is already thinking about them, of where, some injury happened and a head injury and now you have chronic depression, or you've been doing all the right things from a health perspective, but you're struggling with some autoimmune disorder, or, suddenly cancer strikes, or a child, or tragedy strikes. Our bodies are so vulnerable. And I would put it like this, Randy, the fall, by which I mean sin entering the world in Genesis 3, the fall has ruined everything, not just our spiritual life and our loves. Like, it's not just that we are far from God and we idolize things that we shouldn't. That is true. But our bodies are also broken. I mean, God didn't make the world to have, little children eaten up by cancer. This is a brokenness of the world. God didn't make the world to have floods eat up a dorm of children.
Right.
So this is a problem, and the only solution is to look up to God and cry out, why, and in brokenness and in sadness. And I think this is why probably, Randy, I think you said, we're not good at this, because it takes some bravery and some mystery to really pray like the Psalms tell you to pray. There's Psalms of lament.
Oh, man.
And they sound a little sinful to us. They sound a little mean towards God. Like, why would you do this, God? They sound challenging. They sound like they're not trusting God. But as it turns out, the Bible gives us a wonderful category of saying, don't internalize your sadness. Don't externalize it to other people and be mean to them because you're sad and confused.
Yeah.
But do take your sadness and cry out to God.
Yeah.
This is the idea of like Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus.
Yes,
he weeps before he heals Lazarus, which there's the paradigm right there. If you want to know what lament is, it's taking your sadness to God, which by virtue of taking it to God means you bring it with hope, because you're actually looking up and saying, despite my sadness, despite the fact that 20-some precious little children died overnight, there is a God who I can talk to about this.
Yeah.
And there's a God who can fix this.
Yes.
And I can be as mad as I want and sad as I want. And by the way, if you're mad over sin and sad over sin, good. You're a little bit more like God.
Yeah.
But take it to Him. That's lament, crying out to Him. And I think it's so important to practice.
Oh, it's so good, Justin. I love, we could we could go for another hour on those
Yes,
of
we
you
could.
watching and listening. The body teaches the soul. Order this now, right now. Don't walk, run to Amazon. I guess where they can get it wherever, right?
That's an easy place to get it. You're a pretty good salesman, Randy. I'm impressed.
I sell Jesus for a living. I'm a pretty good salesman.
Well, there you go.
I want to get you down to Austin to come speak at my church.
Oh, wow. I would love to do that. I was actually just talking to somebody about coming to Austin, so I'm going to have to keep you updated if that happens.
Yeah, just tell me when you're headed this way, or we'll get you headed this way. But I want you to teach my congregations. The body teaches the soul. Just so good. I can't wait to get all the way through it. I'm early in the book.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. I
But
really appreciate
it's
that.
so good. And, you know, I've just discovered you through my wife breathing mechanisms you told.
Well, you're going to have to pass my greetings to her and pass my
Okay.
thanks. Okay.
I want to thank you for hanging out with us today. I'm so proud of you, Justin. Just
Oh.
so proud of you, man. You have made the world a better place. You've made my life better, and I'm just proud of you. Lord bless you and your practices, your family, all that you got going on, and your outstanding book. Any last thing you want to say before we leave?
Well, thank you. You've been so kind. I really appreciate that. And I wouldn't add anything more than just a reminder to everybody that when you talk about this kind of stuff, sometimes you can think of it legalistically, that there's all this stuff that you should do, or maybe I'm not doing it right. So I just like to remind people that none of your habits will change God's love for you. And that's the great news of the gospel. But God's love for you should change your habits. So
Yeah,
just think
should.
that way, not the first way.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Justin.
You bet, Randy. God bless you.
Lord bless you. Bye-bye.